There's one thing that you and your prospects don't have a lot of or enough of, and that's time in the day. So, what you don't realize when you're selling your high ticket coaching program and asking people to jump on a 20-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute sales call and asking for more of their time that they don't have, you're actually losing sales in the process. And alternatively, when you're jumping on these sales calls and trying to sell your own coaching program, you are also taking away some of your valuable time as well. So I'm going to share you a method today that will allow you to go out to your prospects, your time poor prospects that are ready, willing, and able to get into your high ticket coaching program, and show you a different process. Instead of jumping on sales calls, instead of asking for any more of their time to enroll in your program, how you can develop a new, faster, easier, and more efficient way. And on the flip side, you will have the ability to not have to jump on as many sales calls as necessary. Like, you won't even have to jump on any sales calls. And I'll be able to, with this method, deliver coaching clients to you on a silver platter. So if this is the first time joining one of my lives, I'm Brian Czekanski, and I help high ticket coaches 10x their sales by using a process that doesn't involve any sales calls whatsoever. And when I first tell people that I can enroll people into their program and not use any sales calls, they are, like, I would say, in disbelief. Like, yeah, sure, yeah, like that'll happen. And that's why I make it really easy for people. So I don't ask for any upfront investment. I take all the risk to run these tests to people. And it's really simple. Again, just in the last week, I've sold a 30K offer for a coach just yesterday in terms of that. So this is something that I do. Didn't jump on any sales calls whatsoever. Going to walk you through that method today. But first, I want to jump in. Like, one of the things that I've been talking about, especially with coaches in the last few weeks, is talking about their show up rate for sales calls. I've heard a lot of different stories in terms of people with show up rates around 50%, 60%, 70%. So they are, like, all these coaches are kind of sitting, or their sales teams are sitting on these calls maybe 50% of the time, where that person booked a call and didn't show up whatsoever. Sometimes that person comes back and says, like, oh, I had an emergency, whatever it is. But a lot of times they don't. They just don't show up. And a lot of these coaches take offense to that, but don't really sit in their audience's shoes and realize that, like, okay, everybody is running around with not enough time to get everything done in their day. And if I look on their schedule and what they ask them to book, they ask for 45 minutes. So, like, how many, like, do you have an extra 45 minutes in your day to jump on a sales call where you're not even sure it's the right fit for you? In the same way that your prospects don't either. Your prospects are probably even more busy than you. So you have to keep that in mind. So anytime you're asking for more of their time, it's again, like, don't expect them to show up 100% of the time or even 80% of the time when you do that. So you're actually wasting a lot of your time in terms of showing up for sales calls, where that other person might be a coin flip whether they show up or not. That's just not a very efficient model. So again, I want to walk you through a different model on how to, in the same way, use those techniques that you don't use on a sales call and do them a lot more efficiently. So it all comes down to, again, using email as a conversation in the same way that you would get people on a sales call by putting out that new opportunity or that new offer. We're not actually getting to your offer just yet. We're just putting out a new opportunity that your audience didn't know existed. And that's the same way I'm going through my process. I'm just going out to your email list, all those leads that you've kind of given up on, all those people that didn't show up for your sales call or said no on a sales call, or even didn't even book a sales call. Those are the segment of your list that I most want to talk to. Those are the people that I can reactivate, get back into a sales conversation. And I'm not going to ask for any of their time. I'm not going to ask for 1 single minute or even 1 single second for them to get on a sales call, because I know that's not a great use of their time. That's not a great use of my time. Instead, I've got a process where, regardless of where they are in the world or what they have on their schedule, they can respond to me when it most makes sense. The key is that I have to have a hook that catches their attention. If I have a hook that really catches their attention and can get them to reply back and get into my sales conversation, that's where I can engage with them and do the very same thing that you do on a sales call. Really get to know their story, their backstory. What are some of those emotional drivers that are leading them to potentially getting interested in your program? And only then do I get into putting your offer in front of them. I don't put your offer in front of people that don't make sense, that don't have the money, that aren't qualified, that aren't motivated. in that qualifying process the same way that you do on a sales call. I can do that via a one-to-one email conversation, going back and forth with people in my own time. I can take my time in doing that. So I just mentioned a little bit before that I just sold a 30K offer for a coach just yesterday. Over a 2 or 3 week span is when I had that sales conversation with that prospect. I responded back when it most made sense for me. She responded back when it most made sense for her. I wasn't asking for any more of her time. I wasn't creating any urgency to respond back by the end of the day. We just responded back when it made most sense for our schedules, and it worked really well. We got to the point where, okay, she was ready to sign up. She gave that money right away. And I know she's going to get a great result because the coach that I was representing is kind of the perfect person for her situation. So again, it kind of removes all that time pressure, because again, your audience is kind of starved for, they're starved for giving up that extra time. So I've got a model just via email where I can have sales conversations. Some take a period of days. Like if you've got a higher ticket, if you got a 30, 40, 50 program, for this one, there's a lot of objections. It was a marriage coach, so I had to give a little bit more detail, answer some more of those objections, get that other person, give her advice on how to get her spouse on board with showing up on that day as well. So it took a little bit more effort, took a little bit of, there wasn't any time pressure involved. I gave her exactly what she needed, answered all the questions that she had, answered all those objections. And I know she's going to have a great response. Like, she was 100% in when she sent that money in. It wasn't one of those things where, okay, like at the end of our 20 or 30-minute sales call, yes or no, like she might have had those questions still in mind. I answered every question that she had, answered every objection that she had to make sure that she was 100% in and ready to enroll right away. And that's the beauty of the process of really going through and having a conversation via email one-to-one. And it wasn't one of those where she was just like, oh, I want to jump on a call with you and get, talk to this in a little bit more detail. Like, I was answering her questions in detail, allowed me to take my time and really go through and go back into her backstory, go through that email chain and really personalize it based on the story and the details that she'd already shared. So really powerful process that allows you to kind of just slow things down a little bit. And again, go through as many questions or objections as needed. There was no rush. There's no anything else. And it works really well for a time poor type of audience, which I know right now, if you're a coach in the high ticket space, you probably have a time poor type of audience. So give them a process. Again, this is something that you can have a sales funnel on the front end. You can have a sales team on the front end that's working really well, getting conversions. If anything, I'm looking for that in terms of partners, but my process really sits in at, could sit at the end in terms of a bolt-on profit center, really thinking about those leads that you've kind of given up on, your sales team has given up on. Maybe they opted in 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago. For this lead, she opted in probably a year ago. In terms of that, I was able to reactivate her, get back, get back her attention and go through her story, go through her backstory, and really match up. Even before I put that offer in front of her, really started to build that need and kind of line up with why this coach was the best fit for her, and answer some of those objections up front. Again, I put that new opportunity in front of them. What new beliefs do I have to instill in that audience to get to the point where even before I put that offer in front of them, makes it more likely that it'll happen. So that pre-selling is really important along the way. So again, think about in your sales funnel, especially if your show up rate is 50%, 60%, 70% in terms of that, sales calls of people showing up for you or your sales team. How much wasted time is in your schedule, just kind of showing up for those calls that nobody shows up for. And thinking about like, okay, there's a different way to engage with those people that might not even have the time to book a sales call, or maybe didn't show up for a sales call, or those people that said no on your sales call. All those people I can re-engage with my process. Doesn't ask for any amount of time from them. They reply back to these emails at whatever fits for their schedule, and I'm doing the same from my side. And we come to again, it could take a series of hours, could take several days. In the case that I mentioned on this, took several weeks to get to the point where we are ready to enroll in that. But again, at the end of the day, signed up for a 30K coaching program in the high ticket space. Made a lot of sense for both sides in terms of that coach, but also that prospect is excited to go through that program and excited to get the result that we talked about. So really think about that. Like, you're going out to your time poor audience. How much are you asking for their time? and how much are you kind of wasting on your side as well in terms of that your side from getting that as well. So really think about, like, again, maybe it's worth a conversation with me in just terms of, okay, how can we maybe add this onto your process to reactivate some of those leads that you're paying Facebook for, or Google for, or whoever online platform you are going out to and attracting leads for. You're already paying for these leads already. Again, I don't ask for any upfront investment. I take on all the risk for those partners where it makes sense, where you have a decent amount of email, a decent email list size. So at least 1,000 people on your email list. You've got ongoing flow in terms of your ads. So at least 100 or 200 people are coming onto your list every single month. That is kind of the starting point for having a conversation. And again, think about how my process doesn't ask any time of your audience, and how I can reactivate those people that might have opted in a long time ago. You've kind of given up on them, and I can reactivate them, get them into your high ticket program, and take away some of that time that you're spending on sales calls. And what I've seen with a lot of coaches is their conversion rate. Think about your conversion rate. A professional salesperson probably gets in the range of 20 to 25% in terms of that conversion rate. A lot of coaches that I talk to, probably closer to 10% in terms of that conversion rate. So is that time being spent on all those sales calls worthwhile for you in terms of that conversion, or maybe showing up for a call where that other person doesn't show up? Allow me to kind of give you a different process, test out something a little bit different, hopefully get more people into your program, give some of your time back to you, but also give some time back from your prospect, and not ask any of their time to enroll in your program and see that through. So if this video was helpful, just in terms of introducing a new method, a new way of selling that doesn't ask any time for your time poor audience, hit that like button on whatever your platform you're watching on. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And always talking about high ticket sales on a nearly daily basis. And look forward to seeing you on a future live.